just going to start off with the next part, wherein we are now getting into subsetting data again, but a different kind of data. So as we had discussed in the beginning that we have added date as a text string, a character string. So what we are going to do is we are now going to convert that into a date format so that we can actually query it and do some subsetting. So the same data frame, that is company. So you can see the data. So the date is mentioned over here. You can run a summary and check for the type of data. So I'm saying summary company dollar date, right? And it says that it is character, right? It's not date. So I'm going to say company dollar date, right? And I'm going to say an allocation sign as dot date, wherein we're going to first frame it in a format, right? So there are different date formats, dd, mm, yy, and all those things. So we have to specify one form. So I'm saying date, this is the object or the column, and we are specifying the format. So this is the way or the syntax in which we do that. So %m slash %d slash %y, right? You can have your own choice. I'm going to use it in this way. Okay, and then you're saying start. You can just quickly run through the summary option again. So now you can see the date has transformed into an actual date object, and that is why you're saying the minimum date, the maximum date, and all those things. And obviously I want to partition the date, so I'm saying start date. So I'm giving some thresholding. So I'm saying start date is as dot date, right? And I'm saying over here that it has to be 2009-01-01, just specifying 1. And I can also do the same with the end date also. So I'm going to do 10, and I'm specifying over here as 31. So these are two thresholds which I'm specifying, although it's not necessary that you allocate it to a text and then do it. You can do this at runtime also, right? So do this, and then you're saying new data again is nothing but company, in which you're going to use the which function again, company which, and I'm going to say company dollar date greater than or equal to start date, right? Ideally you could have used, instead of the start date, directly in double quotes 2009-01/01 also. It depends on your preference how you want to do it. And so conditional statement, company dollar date is less than or equal to the end date which you have already specified, right? And then you mention a comma specifying that you want all the columns, right? And you say new data. So this is the only data which is satisfying this condition, so that has been highlighted, right? So you can do all these kinds of things, right? So let's move ahead from here. And now, instead of using the which and the basic subsetting without actually using an inbuilt function, we are stepping into something which is called as subset function. So this is more capable of handling situations. It's specifically designed for doing subsetting, right? So there we were using a combination of different things to actually do subsetting. We use the %in sign also somewhere to do the subsetting. Now in this case we are going to use it in the form of an inbuilt function which has 3 parameters to be passed. The first parameter is the object name, that is the data frame. The second is the row condition on which you want to extract the data, and the third is the column condition, right? The only advantage is it's more user friendly. So I'm saying new data, right, allocation sign, subset function, right? So this is how it is. So the first is the object name itself, that is company. Then you can say what to subset on. So I'm saying subset basis age greater than or equal to, right? Now I obviously need to pass over here the reference name, right? So it has to be company $age, right? Or else if I want, I can just remove this whole thing also, right? This is for those users who don't know as to what parameter stands on what uh, level, right? And supposingly if I want to say the select first and the subset next, I can do that also, right? In that case I will use those things. Otherwise I can directly pass this as something like 35, and then I can use a pipe symbol which specifies an OR condition, and I'm mentioning that the age is less than 24. So extract all those rows wherein age is either greater than or equal to 35 or it is less than 24. That's the condition I'm saying. And I can say select, so this is the column condition, and I'm saying C, that is the concatenate, and I'm saying select the U1, U2, U3 and the U4 columns, so subset, and that's new data. So that's how you extracted the data, right? So you could do something like this. You can also say new data allocation sign subset, and in this case I'm going to use a range option. So I'm saying the same thing, company, and instead of specifying by the age, I'm saying the gender is equal to male. That's what I'm specifying. And one more condition, age is greater than 25, and I'm saying select is equal to C. That's what we used last time. Now this time I can say select is equal to the column gender to say U4 or U5, whichever you specify. So it will select all those columns, right? So it has selected gender to the U4 column all in a sequence, and that is what the colon stands for. And it has done the row sorting or row extraction basis this condition that gender is equal to male and age is greater than 25. That's how you have shown it. Okay, we'll move ahead. Now next step is about random samples. So how would you sample data? Now this essentially won't make sense now, but when you're doing modeling, when you're doing say for example decision trees, and when you're doing linear regression and logistic regression, predictive modeling, you typically need something like a test case and a training data set. So you might find this function very handy at that point in time. And those from the market research background obviously have a lot of application of sampling, right? So we obviously won't get into all types of sampling, but one essential form of sampling is random sampling, and that happens in R through a function called as sample, right? So we'll understand that function. So I'm just cleaning up the board right now. So here we are. So we'll be using the sample function. So I'm saying my sample and allocation sign and saying company, right? And inside company I'm saying sample, okay, and I will use the bracket, round bracket, 1 to n row of company. Obviously this data is very small, doesn't make sense, but since we have to just see how it is done, we are doing this. Phi and replace is equal to false. I'll explain what this does. So basically we are saying that I want to extract some data from company, but what I'm going to extract over here is basis a random sample. So the sample function, I'm specifying that select a sequence from 1 to n row company. Now incidentally company has how many elements if you see at your data? So I'm just going to show it over here. Company has just 5 observations, so it doesn't make sense using it over here. But if you had something like 1000 observations in company, and if you wanted to extract only 5 elements out of that, then this really makes sense, right? So this basically says that from 1 to the number of rows, which is an inbuilt function which will return the number of rows present in company, which incidentally over here is 5. So you're basically sampling from 1 to 5, and you're saying out of that give me 5 elements randomly, and replace is mentioned as false, right? Which essentially says that you cannot use the same index again. This is just going to do a reordering. That's what we can see. It has just reordered, right? But supposingly I use the same thing again, right? But instead of mentioning it as extract 5 samples, I'm just making this as 3, right? And then I have a look at my sample, right? This is how it is coming, right? So it has extracted 1st, 5th and 4th. If I rerun this again with the same code again, right, and then I have a look at the sample, what you will observe in these two frames is that this is different and this is different because it's a random sample, right? One more option is I can make this replace is equal to true, and if I do that, so there are chances, but it makes sense when I try to increase this to 10, right? Let's try this at 10. That is where it will start showing off, and I say my sample, right? So you will observe that some of the observations are repeated again. So basically telling R that you're giving it flexibility to replace an observation. So there are some concepts like out of box sampling and all those things, out of bag sampling, wherein you might use this replace is equal to true sometimes when the data is small, when you don't have any specification about the population data and you want to find sometimes some things about the population, you take it as a proxy. So you might say replace is equal to true in that case. Okay, let's move ahead. So now we come to something called as renaming and recoding of the variable. So just changing the name. So if you have an existing column or a variable name, how do you rename it or recode it? That's what we're going to see next. So basically you're going to use some of these operators. So like the less than equal to, greater than equal to sign, the double equal to, not equal to, all of these are conditional statements, so you could use them. Now we actually start off with recoding of variables. So I'm saying company dollar age, so and you're using the box bracket, and I'm saying company dollar age, right, and equal to 99. We mentioned that 99 is a very big age to see nowadays, so maybe possibly this has come by error, right? So we are going to assign that as an NA, not applicable value, so that we can work on it later, right? So we are basically saying that this is wrong data, it's not applicable, and we are going to change that, right? So I'm manually allocating that right now. Have a look at the data again. Okay, so you can see this age, which was 99, has been made as NA, right? And now we'll go ahead and we'll actually assign categories to this against these values of age, so like mid-age, seniors, and all those things. So we can do that in a couple of ways. So one good way to do that is by saying company, and I'm going to say age category, right? So age cat, that's what I'm saying, and in the box bracket I'm saying company dollar age if it's greater than 75, box bracket complete, and then I'm using allocation sign and I'm saying just mark it as elder, right? This is one form of doing it, right? So we are doing it in steps, right? And then I'm just going to repeat the same code, and I'm going to say if it is greater than or equal to 55, this condition is already seen previously, and one more condition that company dollar age is say less than or equal to say 75, then I'm saying this person should be marked as middle aged. Okay, one more condition, and then one more condition is pending, that is for the young, right? So I'm just going to allocate that by making a few changes over here. So if it is less than 55, I'm saying this person is a young guy, right? And now you can have a look at the data, right? So basically have done this allocation. One guy is pending because the NA over here will not be trapped.